Welcome back to another Down and Dirty New World video. I am the Pretty Dirty, and I am stoked for today's video. What we're going to be talking about is basically everything you need to know about bows. We're going to be diving into topics like damage types, draw types, arrow types, the strengths and weaknesses of bows, and finally just the mastery tree. Now, unfortunately, I have no bow footage from the betas. The first closed beta, I was mainly focused on just power leveling. I was kind of figuring out the weapons, tried a little bit of each one. This most recent open beta, I was just crafting. It was so short. Crafting is something I really neglected in the first beta, so I really focused on that one in this most recent open beta. But we have some sweet VODs going on in the background, so sit back, relax, enjoy the video, and let's dive into the bows. Now, first off, the bow uses the thrust damage type. The other damage types include slash, strike, fire, ice, nature, void, lightning, and arcane. The bow is specifically strong against corrupted and beast. You actually get damage buffs against those characters. It's weak against angry earth and the lost characters, though, those NPCs, those enemies. So it's a damage reduction. They have resistance to bow weapons. I'm going to be making a video going more in depth about damage types really soon, so be sure to subscribe and get notified for that, as well as other New World videos in the future. So just like the other weapons in New World, the bow has two different attack types. So similar to the spear or hammer having a light, heavy attack, the bow has two draw types. A short draw that inflicts 100% weapon damage, and a long draw that is going to inflict 170% weapon damage. Now keep in mind, the game isn't fully released, so some of the minor details, such as percentages, damage outputs, things like that, the mastery descriptions, some of that might change on release, but going off the information we've had in both betas, this stuff is still accurate and current. Now, bows don't only rely on being able to hit your shots, but being able to land headshots. This is making it a weapon that's going to require a lot of time and practice. You're not just going to pick up a bow and be good with a bow. If you do, I'm extremely jealous, and I wish I was you. But it being a high skill ceiling weapon is kind of why I'm interested in pursuing it. I always love challenging myself, and so I'm stoked to get my hands on a bow and really see how far we can take it. I personally think the bow's more strong mid to late game. Early game, it's kind of weak as it takes a lot of different perks, dexterity, armor, unlocking those late game mastery skill points and stuff like that. But I think the bow has potential to be super, super strong. So because it's so important to land your shots, that obviously means that missing your shots will surely result in innocent rabbits, okay, taking arrows behind your target, and an inevitable death for you. You're going to have to channel your inner Legolas. But regardless of hitting or missing, you're going to need to replenish your arrows. So we're going to dive into some info about the different arrow types and how to craft them. Again, stating the obvious, bows rely on ammunition. They use arrows. I know that's crazy. I don't know if that's new information to you. Let me know in the comments. Now, crafting your arrows is obviously going to require a little bit more time, but it will save your wallet, okay? Because I imagine that arrows are going to be fairly expensive in the trading post, so you might as well just learn how to craft them yourselves, get really efficient at crafting them yourselves. So we're going to head on over to the New World database. We're going to discuss the different ammo types, damage modifiers, and the crafting requirements for each one. So I'll see you guys over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in order of the weakest arrow to the strongest arrow. Now, obviously, starting off first, we have the flint arrow. You can see here, by the way, guys, this is New World Database. The link to this website will be down below. This is phenomenal. For those of you that have played WoW, this is basically like the icy veins of New World. This website is very, very good. I highly recommend you guys checking it out. So starting with the flint arrow, you can see that it requires 0 engineering skill. It's a workshop tier 1 or a camp tier 1. I think these are the only arrows that you're going to be able to craft at your campsite. Everything else is going to require a workshop bench. So every time you craft a stack of arrows, you're going to get 50. Now, the ingredients for the flint arrow, you can see here, require 5 flint, 2 greenwood, and 3 feathers. 3 feathers is standard across all arrows. Flint, greenwood are obviously super easy to find. These are cheap arrows, and they come with a 1-time damage modifier. So nothing too crazy, obviously. These are very standard, cheap, kind of boring arrows. But they are good if you want to just go out hunting and stuff like that. Don't waste your really strong arrows for killing deer, rabbits, boar, anything like that. Flint arrows should probably do it. Next, we're going to head over to the iron arrows. These still require a 0 engineering skill. So the second that you get the materials to craft these arrows, I highly recommend you doing that, because you will see a 1.05 damage modifier. Nothing too crazy, not a big jump, but it is better. They are better, so you might as well use them. The crafting materials are a little bit more intense with 4 iron, 2 timber, and the standard 3 feathers. Now, you're going to see that these require a tier 2 workshop. That shouldn't be too demanding. Maybe after a couple hours, people are going to start conquering towns, and you're going to have governors, and those workshops are going to be leveled up. After the iron arrows, you're going to be able to craft steel arrows. Now, these require a level 50 engineering skill. So if you want to be able to craft your own arrows, you're going to have to level your engineering. So keep an eye on that. Make sure you're doing that kind of whenever you have time. Level 50 shouldn't take too long. Now, the workshop tier has increased to a workshop tier 3. So if you're going to craft these, make sure the towns available to you have a tier 3 workshop. Again, you're going to get an output of 50 steel arrows, and they require 3 steel ingots, 2 lumber, and the standard 3 feathers. Again, the feathers are standard across the board. Now, when you craft these steel arrows, the bonus is you're going to get a 1.1 damage modifier. Nothing with these arrows get too crazy in terms of the damage modifier. There's not a massive jump. We cap out at 1.2. So there's not a massive jump. It's not like you're going to be doing, 1.75 or anything like that. Maybe in the future as more arrows release, or if there's perks to increase the strength of your arrows, stuff like that. But for now, the steel arrows at a 1.1 damage modifier. So now we're into some fancy arrow types. The Star Metal Arrow. An engineering skill of level 100 is required, along with a tier 4 workshop. So the demands obviously are going up as the arrows get a little bit stronger. The Star Metal Arrows are putting out a 1.15 damage modifier. I think you guys can catch on to the pattern. Every single arrow gets a, 5/100ths of a damage percentage going up. I'm not too good with fractions or decimals, but I think that's right. They require 2 star metal ingots, 2 weirwood planks. I don't know. Is that how you say that word? Okay. I don't know. If I'm wrong, correct me. And then the 3 feathers, believe it or not. Now here we have the last and strongest arrow, which is the Orichalcum arrow. Again, I don't know if we're saying that right, but I'm full sending it. It's going to require a level 150 engineering and a tier 5 workshop, but you're going to get a whopping 1.2 times 1.2 damage modifier at the end of these, requiring a orichalcum ingot, 2 ironwood planks, and oh my god, 3 feathers. So obviously these are going to be like your last, final, and strongest arrow. They're going to be pretty expensive. Again, don't waste your super strong arrows on killing rabbits, okay? That's a waste, and it hurts my heart. All right, so we've broken down the bow, the basics of the bow, and the arrows. Now we're going to talk about how and when you should use the bow. Obvious weaknesses for the bow are close quarters. Don't bring a bow to a hammer fight. Bows excel at range. Now in the mastery tree, there are things you can choose to help create distance, and we're going to get into that shortly. Bows only deal max damage when you land your shots, okay? This is a strength and a weakness because when those shots land, they hurt big time. Bows are amazing at high burst damage, as well as applying slow effects and bleeds. Or no, it's not bleed. I believe your rain of arrows, if you buff that up, applies a bleed, but they also have you have a standard poison effect in your mastery tree. So we're going to hop on over and we're going to take a look at that right now. So we're back on New World Database. They have these skill building trees, again, similar to like Icy Veins and stuff like that. So you can tinker with how you want things to be built. You can play around with how you want to prioritize your points and where they're going to be placed as you level up your weapons. The first tree that we're going to look at is the Skirmisher. Obviously, the Hunter is your secondary tree that you can put points into. You're going to get a total of 19 points, if I'm not mistaken, or 20. Math's hard. So in the Skirmisher tree, how I have mine built, okay, this is where, when I was saying there's options available to help create distance, you're going to get a lot of haste from the Skirmisher trees, haste opportunities. I'm going to run you through a few of these options really quick. So after you dodge, deal 20% more damage for 5 seconds. That's going to be important, okay? It's going to be really important. After you dodge, gain 10% haste for 2 seconds. Okay, so as you dodge, it's going to help you create a little bit of space. You're going to get a nice little speed boost for a couple seconds. You can run away. And then after you create that distance, you can get a nice little high damage shot off after this, because you have 5 seconds to deal 20% more damage after a dodge. Now, next, we have Archer's Speed, which you gain 10% haste for 5 seconds when you swap to your bow. So you do a nice little dodge. You get that damage increase. You get a little speed increase. You do some damage. Maybe do a little poke with your secondary. I'm going to be running a spear as my secondary. You swap back to your bow, 10% more haste. So have a secondary that applies like a knockdown effect or something like that, which is why I'm going for the spear. You apply the knockdown, swap to your bow, 10% more haste for 5 seconds. You create that distance, right? Now, probably the weakest, I don't know what these abilities are, elite abilities, is his knee shot, okay? Leg shots cause 10% slow for 2 seconds. That's very little amount of slow, and it's a very short duration. But I guess it could kind of help, again, in combination with everything else. I think this could be really important. I'm obviously going to use it because any slow is good slow, right? So aside from those, let's look at some of the abilities that I've chosen and some of the ones that we haven't talked about yet. So now first, let's take a look at Catch Me If You Can. If surrounded by 3 or more foes within 3 meters, you gain 20% haste. The reason I haven't chosen this one is because I'm surrounded by 3 or more people. I'm gonna die. Most likely I'm gonna die. It's gonna be a very sticky situation to be in. I think there's better options. We'll have to mess with it. Again, this is all... I didn't get to put this into practice, so if you guys think this is a stronger ability, let me know in the comments, and I'll have to look at it. We're going to play around with builds as the game launches, but I see it as if I'm surrounded by 3 or more people, I'm not going to have my bow out. Again, giving me, not granting me this ability, I'm going to be having a different thing. It just seems like a wasted point to me. I have evade shot because this is very important when it comes to creating distance. You're going to leap back 5 meters, shoot an arrow, dealing 125% weapon damage. So it's a 5-meter gap. We upgrade it. Causes knockback of 2 meters. So math again, we got a 7-meter gap now. We buff it up one more time to go the distance, and evade shot grants you 5 seconds of 15% haste. So again, we stack haste. Haste. Because in my personal opinion, my build, my bow is going to be my priority. So I need to be able to gain access to it at all times and make sure that I have my bow as my first choice. So anything to create distance to keep my enemies off me so I can use my bow, that's super important. Now, this is something that I think that I will eventually put a point into Impale. If I hit a foe with 100% health, it's going to cost 10% slow for 2 seconds. Again, 10% slow for only a 2-second duration. I just don't think it's that noticeable. I think there's better options for my points, but we'll have to play around and see. Up next is Closing In. Hitting a foe below 50% health reduces bow ability recharge by 5%. I think that's talking about cooldown percentages. I'm not sure. If so, again, 5% isn't that big of a deal. Unless they stack. If I can hit all 3 of my rapid shots, and each time it's going to grant me 5% ability cooldown percentages, like 5%, that's 15% in 3 shots. Now we're talking numbers, right? So I'll have to experiment with that and see what that talks about. Again, if you guys know in the comments, please let me know. One of the main abilities you're going to get in the Skirmisher tree is the Rain of Arrows. Shoot a barrage of arrows 7 meters wide that deals 150% weapon damage. I didn't choose this one because my build is going to be set towards 1v1 PvP and stuff like that. But when you're doing the sieges and stuff like that, and there's massive amounts of enemies in a singular area, Rain of Arrows is going to be really strong. So I highly recommend you doing that. But for my particular build, I'm focused on 1v1 PvPing, so I didn't choose that. But this is a really strong ability. You upgrade it, you're going to get Rain of Arrows, which causes bleed, dealing 85% weapon damage over 12 seconds. Max 3 stacks. Not too sure how you apply 3 stacks because this does have a 25-second cooldown, and the bleed only lasts for 12 seconds. So unless there's a way to increase the duration a very large amount, maybe some other archer is able to apply another bleed, I'm not too sure. So we take Rain of Arrows, and if you were able to buff it up one more time, you would get Hooked Arrows. Rain of Arrows causes a 15% slow for 4 seconds. Again, if you can do that to a massive group of individuals or enemies, whether it be PvP or PvE, this is pretty big. I think the slow is obviously going to apply more for PvP, but that's a big amount of slow for a decent amount of time. So this is a valid option, again, for sieges and when you're doing a lot of AoE. Now let's take a look at Hunter's Insight. Hitting a foe with a debuff grants 5 stamina. Because I'm going to be dodging so much, and swapping weapons and sprinting and doing stuff like that, I need to be able to regain stamina. Because dodging obviously requires a lot of stamina. I'm going to be running light armor. I'm going to be dodging a lot. So the only thing is, I don't know if I really have any ability selected that is going to necessarily put on a debuff. So I might have to reevaluate this point, but it is there to try and regain some stamina for myself. Now let's take a look over at Poison Shot. Shoot a poison arrow that, on hit or land, creates a cloud of poison 3 meters wide that lasts for 6 seconds. Foes entering the cloud are poisoned, dealing 10% weapon damage per second for 20 seconds. It's a good amount of ticking damage. It's a long tick, and the cool thing is you don't necessarily have to directly hit somebody with your arrow. You can shoot it at their feet, and if anybody passes through it, it's going to apply the poison effect to somebody. So you don't have to be super accurate with this one. You just got to hit it kind of near them or in the path that they're running in. If you were to upgrade it, you would get Infected Arrows. Poison Shots poison now deals 12% weapon damage per second for 20 seconds. So a 2% damage increase, okay? Basically non-existent, but we'll take it, right? Because that ticking damage eventually could add up. So I went ahead and put a point in there because I really wanted this one. If you directly hit a target with Poison Shot, it deals 200% more damage. That's a lot of damage. And hopefully I can be accurate enough to land these shots. We're going to have to see how big of a damage buff that is. Obviously 200% more, but how important is that going to be, right? So I only put this point in there because I saw the 200% and I just had to click it. You know, I think we would all do that, and naturally just sounds really good. Again, I have a deals 10% more damage to foes suffering from a debuff. So again, I don't know if I have abilities that necessarily apply a debuff. I don't think dots are debuffs. I think there's debuffs like rend and stuff like that this more applies to. But again, damage, right? We like damage. Moving over to battle precision, a debuff and damage over time durations last 20% longer. So that's going to apply to my poison shot. So if it goes for 20 seconds, 20% longer, that's going to be 4 seconds. We got a ticking time of 24 seconds, I think. Don't check my math, okay? Again, the knee shot, kind of worthless, but you know what? We like slow. So this finishes off the skirmisher tree. I'm gonna move my camera and we're gonna move over to the hunter tree. So looking at the hunter tree, first off, this is more your long range kind of sniper tree. So you're gonna get a lot of things that are incentivizing long shots. You're gonna increase the speed of your arrows, and you're gonna increase the distance that your arrows can travel before they start to drop and gravity takes over, stuff like that. So your hunter is obviously a really good sniper build. That's why I haven't picked it for a 1v1, because I'm not going to be able to snipe too much as they're running at me and trying to close that distance. But there are a few things in here that are super, super helpful. So we're just going to start from the top to bottom. Okay, I have this one selected. Deals 20% more damage to foes at least 10 meters away. So with my build, if I'm able to create enough distance, 10 meters away isn't super far. So I'm hoping I get to utilize this ability a lot. I think this is a very, very important one. Being a bow user, I hope everyone's 10 meters away. So I went ahead and checked it. I think you guys should too. Now we're going to take a look at the first ability you get from this tree, which is Penetrating Shot. Shoot an arrow dealing 150% weapon damage that passes through targets and continues for 100 meters. So if all of your targets are standing in a perfectly straight line, you shoot through them, your arrow keeps traveling and does damage to all of them. I think this is going to be a standard choice for a lot of people, but again, because I'm set more for a 1v1 PvP, and honestly, passing through multiple targets isn't quite a necessity for me, because I think the likelihood of me PvPing and everyone running in a straight line is not likely. Also, there's a few videos floating around that when the penetrating shot hits its first target, the arrow veers to the left or right, making penetrating shot kind of silly and difficult to predict and aim with. So you upgrade Penetrating Shot to Blood-Soaked Arrow. Now, you're going to increase the damage by 10% after each hit. So for each target you hit, obviously damage is going to increase by 10%. Max 50%. So the max you're going to be able to hit is 5 targets where you're going to acquire that buff. Now, again, I don't do Penetrating Shot because I've seen the videos of the arrows skirting off to the sides, making it very difficult to align and predict and gain the benefits from this arrow here. You buff it up one more time, you're going to get Deep Strike. Penetrating Shot deals 20% more damage to targets 20 meters or more away. So again, that distance is super important for this tree. If you're going to use this shot, obviously we got to make sure they're far away. Moving on, we have Aim True. Heavy attacks, arrow fly faster, and deal 30% more damage. This is really important, again, for your sniper build. You have time to take and aim your shots. This is a very, very important. So if you're able to go into dungeons, you have time to sit back, relax, and really aim super precise shots. This is a very, very good ability to use. Or if you're doing really big group PvP and you have the high ground and you're able to aim down and take your time, this is a very strong ability. To the next row, we have Finishing Shot. If your target is below 50% health, deal 20% more damage. So I have this one because I'm hoping that the 20% more damage buff stacked with all the other damage buffs that I've chosen, this is going to be very, very strong. I think it's a pretty strong ability. It makes, if you get the upper hand on someone and you're able to do really strong damage as they're rushing you, you can just start annihilating them once you get them down. Now let's take a look at Unbreakable Focus. Receive 10% less damage while aiming. I honestly don't comprehend this one. I'm not going to be aiming if someone's slicing me with their rapier or bashing me with their hammer. I will probably be running. The next ability you have open to you is a Splinter Shot. Shoot an arrow out 10 meters. It then splits into 3 arrows, dealing 50% weapon damage. Now, a lot of us, I know personally, I'm like, yo, if I can get this thing aimed just right to where all 3 arrows hit the same person, split at the right time, we get this shotgun effect. Now, I've seen videos that is very, very, very difficult to do. Now, it says that it splits out at 10 meters. The video I saw said it splits out at 7, actually, and it has to be a perfect 7 meters. Otherwise, the arrows kind of just go through the target and go off and they split. So you're not going to get that shotgun effect. So Because of the inconsistency in Splinter Shot, I didn't choose this one. Up next, we're going to have Opening Strike. I'm going to speed this along for you guys. Heavy attacks deal 20% more damage to foes with 100% health. A really good boost to your opening rotation. The third ability in this tree is the Rapid Shot. Shoot 3 consecutive arrows. First 2 dealing 100% weapon damage each. The last shot causes a knockback and deals 125% weapon damage. That knockback is what stood out to me. I'm all about creating distance with my bow. We upgrade that to Rapid Accuracy. If all 3 arrows consecutively hit the same target, Rapid Shot cooldown is reduced by 50%. So if you're good with aiming and leading your targets and stuff like that, the benefit from this is actually pretty massive because you're going from a 20-second cooldown to a 10-second cooldown. Upgrade it for the third and final time. You're going to get Final Blow. Third shot of Rapid Shot deals 25% extra damage. We like damage, so I went ahead and buffed Rapid Shot up all the way. Now, looking at some of the passives, Surprise Attack, if you haven't damaged a foe in the last 10 seconds, deal 20% extra damage. Really good for your opener rotation again. Arrow range, increase arrow distance before start of gravity by 100%. This is what I was talking about. It's really good for your starting, your opener. If you're trying to snipe and stuff like that, this is a very strong ability to choose. Hawkeye, when you land a headshot, heal yourself for 10% of the damage done. 10% is a good amount. Can you consistently land headshots, though? That's what's super important to gain the full benefit of this ability. Bullseye. Bow shots critical chances increased by 10%. Now, this is a really strong ability. Unfortunately, it didn't take priority for me. With most of my points went into Skirmisher because I want all that haste and that dodge. I feel like I can move things around and maybe gain access to Bullseye. I'd really like to mess with this this build and see if I could do that because I really want that increased critical chance percentage. Now, the last ability in the Hunter tree is Concussion. When you land a headshot, you deal 20% more damage and a 50% chance to get your arrow back. So if you can land headshots, Concussion is actually really, really big. 20% more damage is kind of massive. So this was a little bit of a longer video. I've been actually struggling to make longer videos, but this one, it was super easy. There's a lot to dive into with the bows. I'm happy to make these videos for you guys. I'm stoked to see the bow build and see how it plays out. If you guys have any recommendations for bows, builds, anything like that, drop it in the comments. Let me know. Join the Discord. But I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. Again, some of this info could change as the game hasn't fully released yet. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Links to the websites that we use will be in the comments, as well as my Discord and my Twitch. So be sure to catch a live stream. Stay dirty, and I'll see you in a tournament.